Oh, so I decided I would dress like a girl today since I consider myself to be a woman. The reason my hair is all wet is since I just took a shower and it's going to dry. But I'm just saying, like, I like to dress like this. I have sweatpants on. I have this sweater on with a t-shirt. I also have well, since I used to take HRT, I had grown breasts, so I wear a bra. And it's like people think it's very strange because when they look at me, well, I mean, the thing is, like, I have a problem because, like, women thought I was an attractive man, um, but I don't consider myself to be a man. I consider myself to be a woman. So women thought I was an attractive man, but I don't consider myself to be a man. I consider myself to be a woman. Well, I have very strange personal beliefs, well, in other words, like I have strange personal beliefs, like I believe I'm a cis woman. I don't believe that I am a trans woman. I believe I am a cis woman. Other people would call me a trans woman, but that is not what I believe. Um, and then just very interesting things I believe. Um, I believe I'm a cis woman. I believe. Well, I mean, I was doing like I had an existential crisis last night because every single night, or I don't know, pretty like I seem to have lots of existential crises like every fucking night now. Maybe it's just because it's the month of October and it's like I'm really going deep into this shit. But wow, I've had some existential crises. I mean, I would like to describe these existential crises to you that I have. So they're essentially existential crises of who I am or how the universe works. And they're so fucking complicated that I probably couldn't really do it justice with a video. I would have to write a book. Like I can read you on my website. I posted a sample um, of my book, and I can read this to you. I put it on archive.org. So this is like the way that I write is very like it's very poetic the way that I write. And this book is what I want to write, and I think this is honestly my life's work is that I just have to make this book and then I can really put my message out there of what I really think, and it's not really possible to do it justice with a video. At least it's most likely not. I've made some pretty good videos, but this is a sample of my book To Float, and this is key point 8. It's possible to boil down all deep introspection to a single point. The trickster is Allah. All the brutalizing of myself I have done through my years of tears or words or the language of Noor has led myself to the deepest conclusion possible of this one conclusion. There is nothing I must know, yet still I spoke until I died without the regret I hadn't given up my words at last. I am the one who is God. So that is the sample of my book. Um, of course, this book is going to be a very complicated philosophical book on the philosophy of Noorism. Like if I go in here and look at this book, I can read to you another key point. If I can find the one I want to read to you. So this is key points 4. So key points 4 goes like this. It's the concept of Jade Lest is the concept of my thoughts, or in other words, the method of my thoughts, or this is all Noorism, or I'll include key concepts in apostrophes throughout this book, whilst core ideas are made in capital letters like Jade Lest, or the concept of method, where this concept of method allows one to conduct themselves in such a method they are able to control their own thoughts, or their thoughts are what they aspire to produce, as anything jadeless of the thought is only thoughts produced for knowing of the aesthetic, or more precisely, one can only know something by their knowing of the aesthetic, or in other words, the object they view without immediately thinking of the object, rather viewing it as something they know. For this object is only an object, or not anything like an apple. For this statement, the apple is red is only known by Jade Lest of the knowing of the aesthetic drawn of the line of thought of Jade Lest. This was also the withdrawal of the vision of the apple, yet if one is dissociated of the apple, suffering no knowledge like Allah, then the apple could only be known as red, or its aesthetic was it also forced through oneself by this of jade less. Yet I digress. The only thing probable is that core concepts I will go throughout this book are to be found only within this of the Lord, who only knows what the Lord knows, or throughout his time of deep introspection on the moment, since rising of the ashes like a phoenix only to hit 18, then becoming 69, or now I'm 76. I'm only 76 as the trickster, for Allah is ageless, or still there I have no age, but or I'll state for the record it's possible to say multiple things, like I consider myself to be the Ender Dragon, or I'm also the trickster whose form is this of the Ender Dragon, yet I digress. There are concepts of the ancient world, for the world is not the universe, or the universe has nothing to do with the world, as the world is just the setup of people amongst the universe. You know, I remind you, there are no people, only angels or warlocks, who are only part of the universe, yet only about 1 in 80 people who think might be human are angels or warlocks, or angels are typically of the female sex, or warlocks are typically of the male sex. Still, I digress. There is nothing I ought to discuss further. So that's key points number 4. And it's like, this is a philosophical book, and it's like it's a very hard concept for people to understand, that I could write a very lengthy book on my schizophrenia, and that's probably my life's work, is just to write this book. My life's work is not to do anything else. Of course, I'll tell you what my dream job is. As I consider myself. I'll talk about some more feminine things in this video. All right, so I'll talk about some more feminine things. I consider myself to be a black woman. That is hard for people to understand, since of course I don't look like one, but that's how my schizophrenia works. I'm not allowed to state to myself that it's wrong, so I consider myself to be a black woman. And this black woman is also a dragon. So, and also I discovered the ages of these, the dragon or the black woman. The black woman is not a human woman, but the trickster, um, and anyways, the black woman is 76 years old, born on October 6, 1948. The dragon, who is the black woman, is 1078 years old, for it was born on October 6, 948, but the -1 is included. So that means that I would be 1078 years old as a dragon. Of course, if I was the law, then I would have no age, and that would be different, and then I would be ageless, for I would only be on the moment. And I did perceive that I had perceived the whole universe. Well, anyways, I'll talk about something more feminist. Like, I have a thing for like baseball players. Like, I find people who play baseball attractive. Like, I find like people who play baseball. That's why I don't know. I have a thing for baseball players. Like, because I think this black woman was very interested in baseball games, and I have a thing for baseball players. I don't know. It's like my sexuality is that I like men or women, but I'm like essentially asexual. I don't really like sex. I hate sex, to be honest with you. And another reason I decided to be abstinent was since I've been raped so many times, or molested or raped so many times, that I just decided to be abstinent, to never have sex with anybody. I mean, I have my own personal reasons for this, that it just doesn't make sense to me, like why I would do such a thing at this point, that I would just spend my life alone, essentially. But I do have a thing for baseball players. I don't have it, though I do consider myself to have been a soldier in the Cold War. I don't have like a thing for soldiers. No, I don't. I just respect soldiers because I have a respect for soldiers because I think they deserve respect. They go through shit, and it's like, I don't know. And it's like, I consider myself to be a soldier. Like, I think I was a soldier in the Cold War, and like a woman who was a soldier in the Cold War. And very interesting things, like I believe that I've seen, well, I mean, I don't know if I want to talk about this, but I believe that I've seen dead bodies before in the Cold War. and things like that. And if I was born on October 6, 1948, all of this would have been possible. But it's even deeper than that, since if you look at it according to the float is the moment, essentially, that I could just make statements like this that are not false if I know them not to be false. So stating that I was involved in the Cold War is not a false statement. Thus, it doesn't mind. Like, I don't mind it. I don't mind saying something like that. Um, and I just believe that I'm a soldier. Of course, a woman soldier. So that's interesting. But then I do believe that I deserve some respect for what I've done, since I believe that everything I think is real. And I mean, if you have any clue, the number of things I've been through so much shit. It's like fucking awesome. It's like, wow, I've been through so much shit. On top of this, well, I believe that this woman who is the dragon is also, in other words, death. And I consider myself to be death, but I said that death was a concept. It is not the Grim Reaper, it is a concept. And that is something I'm writing about in my book, is that death is a concept. Um, and, just very interesting things. And, um, I don't know. I hide all, but the thing is, that I have to hide everything that I think from people. I hide everything. I hide everything I think. I don't talk about anything with anyone. I mean, you know why? Because all I am is just like essentially another bozo on the bus to people. I mean, I'm just another bozo on the bus. When I have such a beautiful philosophy that I can really provide people with by writing this book, that if I just wrote this book, I could provide people with a beautiful philosophy. But unfortunately, the fact of the matter is, like, that's the only way to really get my point across. I mean, I think I've made some good points with these videos. I made some good videos, especially my last video where I sort of realized that I was kind of like automatically hiding things from people, just not telling people what I really think. I mean, not telling people about the Cold War or anything like that, and just things like that I think. And I think even things that are even worse, because like things that would only pertain to God. Like, if I had said before that I had believed that I was Allah, and then I believe things that only pertain to, well, that of course would be very, very serious. Since if you're God, I mean, what is the ultimate thing? If you are God, well, it's probably death, because people live and then they die, and death is probably the most ultimate thing that people can go through. And it's like, if you're God, you have to understand death, and I think I really have a deep understanding of how I view death, and how I view death if I was indeed Allah. I mean, I have to understand these things. Like, I just, like, I was mistaken, because it was almost like I thought that, well, I didn't really think this, but like, I'd almost believed that I was some sort of, I don't know, living AI, but that was a mistake. I sort of realized that I'm not. I'm actually something more than that. I'm an analog person, and as someone who is analog, that means that I'm real. I'm not artificial. That just frustrates me. I mean, seriously, that frustrates me, because I'm a real person. And it's like, I don't know. I mean, I just use this channel to really talk about, it's like the only avenue I really have to really talk about things that go through my head. And I don't know. Oh, also this black woman. I mean, I don't know if I want to talk about that actually. I have very strange opinions, like very strange opinions. But I don't know. I think, like, essentially I'm like a black woman who's like an emo girl. I'm like an emo girl, and I hide everything from people because everybody thinks I'm a man and they abuse me and shit. Sometimes, I mean, sometimes they abuse me. It's like I'm just like some sort of like emo girl. I mean, I have an emo album tattooed on my stomach. It's like an album cover but I copied it and drew it myself, and it's the album Riala by Sweet Loon. And I included one of the songs in Riala by Sweet Loon on that terrible album Spatial Eyeball Death that I made. But that album sucks, and also that isn't my music on the album. I was just rapping over it when I was delusional. And I'll be also regarding things that happened to me. I suppose I should talk about this because I want to discuss things that had happened to me before that people don't understand. Is that I had lost my mind for a long period of time, about a whole year, But during this course of this time, I was brain dead and I wasn't conscious. I was literally unconscious for about a little over a year. I mean, I don't know, something like a little over a year. I was unconscious, and I wasn't aware of what was going on around me, and I was like so delusional that I was like fucking out of my mind. I was like screaming. I was walking all over the city. I was like screaming at people. I mean, I was out of my fucking mind because that's what cough syrup did to me. That's a psychedelic drug. Wow, that shit fucked me up. Then when I quit that drug, I had such severe health problems that I was hyperventilating every single day. My body was always in pain. Like, oh wow, it was really bad because when I quit that drug and when I came back to reality on December 13th, 2023, wow, I mean, I had severe health issues. I had severe brain damage, all from cough syrup. I had severe brain damage. But I also want to point out that I don't really think it was my fault that I lost my mind. I wasn't aware that I was doing this to myself because it was only getting worse the more cough syrup I would consume. I mean, I was so fucked up, I was shoplifting cough syrup and shit. This was in 2023 or 2022 even, that I just started to lose my fucking mind. And I always think about how it wasn't my fault and I just regret that all of this had to happen, seriously. But during this time, some bad things actually happened to me. Like during this time that I was brain dead, someone raped me. And the reason I consider it to be rape is since that I consider if I was brain dead, I wasn't able to consent. So I felt like I had been raped during this time that I was brain dead. And that was a very traumatic experience for me. And just, things like this. And also, I don't know if I want to talk about this, but I've like hallucinated. Well, I don't know if it's a hallucination because there's like sort of like imprints on my body that are like sort of like invisible tattoos that you can't really see that appeared on my body and shit. And I don't really like to talk about it, but I mean, there's like invisible tattoos on my body, and I had to figure out what the tattoos mean because I didn't decide to put them there. They just kind of showed up. But I mean, it's like I sort of don't like it to be honest. But in the end, it's like I'm just a black woman, and it's like, um, it's like anybody likes anybody, man. It's like I'm just saying, like I like Well, I was gonna say this black woman that I consider myself to be. I mean, you don't understand how this works. Is like I consider myself is that this black woman had lived a life, born on October 6, 1948, then had died. Then thus I on the float was dead, since I had died since I had died as the woman. So this woman died sort of like at the end of a dark tunnel, by the means of suicide. And then also, I mean, it's all very complicated because I have such a deep understanding of all of this that I don't even know how the fuck to explain it to people because it's so fucking complicated. I mean, it must be if I've been thinking about it for so long. But the one thing about this black woman is that she has like an affinity, like a sexual attraction to Caucasian men, and that's another thing that I experienced, that I'm sexually attracted to like Caucasian men. Especially, I think that I'm in love with DJ Scrim. So I was kind of like sad when he got married because like he made a whole music video about his wedding and shit, and I mean that was cool, but I sort of it made me sad because like I was in love with him. I was in love with DJ Scrim from the Suicide Boys. I don't know. I mean, it's like my schizophrenia told me things like it's told me that I have a daughter, and I don't talk about that with people. My schizophrenia has told me I have a daughter. But the problem is that I'm very worried about that shit because it told me that my daughter was a real person. Um, and I'm very worried about that shit. Then it told me that my father was a person I had met before who had died, and I'd have no evidence that he died, but it just told me that he died. And I was just like, oh, my father, my father must have died. It was someone I met before. So if I was a black woman, he was a black man. And it's like, but I'm also aware that I was conceived of by two Caucasian people, my mother and my father. Um, that I'm saying like, but somehow they gave birth to a black woman somehow. That's just what I think, and it's very strange. I don't really know how to explain this without writing it down, because it's so complicated that I couldn't explain it without writing it down and shit. I don't know. And then also the very disappointing part is that of course I don't look like a woman. Well, if you saw through my eyes, it's extremely feminine and it does indeed look like a woman. If you saw what I experience, you would know that I am a woman. Well, unfortunately, when you look at me from the outside, I just look like some Caucasian male, just another bozo on the bus, and I'm totally aware of that. That's why I hide everything I think from people. I mean, if I told people the strange things that I think, they would be like, "What?" And then they'd walk away. They just walk away from me, you know what I mean? I mean, I hold the belief that Lain Iwakura is a black woman who was born on October 6, 1948 in Mexico, who had gone to the moon. I mean, very interesting things. I could go into very interesting details about it. I mean, I believe that I am Lain Iwakura 100%. And it's like, where am I really going with this? Well, interesting video, but I don't really have anything else to say.